Chapter 3. Oliver is cruelly treated and run away. It was a dinner time. Oliver and Noah Claypole were in the kitchen waiting for their dinner. Noah was in a bad temper as usual. He was doing all he could to make Oliver angry. He put his feet upon the table. He pulled Oliver's hair. He pinched him. He kicked him. He did all this in order to make Oliver cry. But Oliver did not cry. At last he asked Oliver, "Poor house, how's your mother? She's dead. Don't you say anything about her. What did she die of, poor house?" "A broken heart," Oliver told him, and the tears come into his eyes. Noah laughed. "Crybaby, crybaby. He's crying for his mother. You stop talking about my mother. You had better be quiet." "I had better be quiet, had I? You are being very rude, poor house. I am afraid you are a rude little boy. And your mother, let me tell you, was a real bad woman." "What did you say?" said Oliver, looking at him hard. "I said that she was a real bad woman. It is good thing that she died when she did. If she had not, she would have been hanged. That's certain she had." Oliver gave him no time to say anything more. He flew at him and seized him by the throat. He shook him hard and then he threw him to the floor. "Help, help," Noah screamed. "Oliver's gone mad. He's murdering me. Help, help, Charlotte." Charlotte and Mrs. Sorberry rushed into the kitchen. They seized Oliver and beat him hard. Noah got up and helped him. At last, they were too tired to beat him any more. Then they dragged him, shouting and struggling, into the dark cellar and locked the door. Mrs. Sorberry fell into a chair and burst into tears. "She is going to faint," Charlotte cried. "Quick, Noah, get her a glass of water." "Oh, Charlotte," cried Mrs. Sorberry when she had recovered. "Oh, Charlotte, think, he might have murdered us all in our beds." "Poor, poor Noah," cried Charlotte. "He would have been murdered if we had not been here." "Poor Noah," said Mrs. Sorberry, looking at Noah with eyes that were full of pity. Then she asked, "What are we going to do now? Mr. Sorberry won't be back for hours, and Oliver is going to kick that door down in a minute. He means to murder us all. I know he does. Noah, run to the poorhouse and fetch Mr. Bamble. Noah, run to the poorhouse. Oh, Mr. Bamble, Mr. Bamble, sir," he said breathlessly. "Oliver Twist gone mad. He's tried to murder me and Charlotte and the missus, all of us. If you don't come now, he will murder them." Bamble took his stick and hurried to the coffee maker's. He struck the door of the cellar hard, shouting, "Oliver Twist, you let me out of here. Do you know who I am?" "Yes." "And you are not afraid?" "No, I am not." Mr. Bamble could not believe his ears. He looked at the other in astonishment. "The boy mad," said Mrs. Sorberry. "If he was not mad, he would never dare to speak to you like that, sir. He's mad." Mr. Bamble looked very serious. "Ma'am," he said thoughtfully, "it's not madness, it's meat." "Meat!" exclaimed Mrs. Sorberry in great astonishment. "Yes, meat, ma'am. You have been giving the boy meat, have not you?" "Well, yes, now and then. If you had given the boy soap, this would never have happened." "No, ma'am, meat is the trouble." "Oh dear!" exclaimed Mrs. Sorberry. "All this is because I have been too kind to him. Leave him where he is for 2 or 3 days. When he comes out, Do not let him have any meat. You will be sorry if you do. He comes of a bad family. Ma'am, his mother. Oliver began kicking the door with all his strength. At his moment, Miss Sorberry returned home. They told him what had happened. He pulled Oliver out of the cellar. Now, what's all this? He asked, shaking the boy roughly. He called my mother name, said Oliver. And what if he did? Mrs. Sorberry said. She deserved what he said and worse. She did not. She did. It's a lie. Mrs. Sorberry burst into tears. Mr. Sorberry beat Oliver unmercifully. When at last Oliver was in his bed among the coffee, he began to cry. He cried as if his heart could break. All through that night he cried. When daylight came, he wiped away his tears. His mind was made up. He would run away. He packed his things in his handkerchief quietly. He opened the shop door and walked out into the street.